Welcome to Unsightly Opinions. My name's Tamara. Today I want to talk about dating and relationships as someone who is blind and disabled. This is something that's been brought up numerous times in the comments over the past few months, with people asking a variety of questions about my personal relationship, about dating in general, about building friendships as an adult, about how to navigate the dating scene with a disability. So let's talk about all that, but it won't all fit in one video. And I intend to do 2 more videos, if you're interested, with my partner Robbie talking about our relationship and how it differs from other relationships he's been in, and a 3rd video with one of my best friends talking about what it's like to be friends with somebody who has a disability. What's different about that relationship? So if you're interested in seeing all that, let me know, but that's the plan. For today, let's dive in and talk about my dating experience, my expectations going into dating, how I feel about dating, what's worked, what hasn't worked, safety issues, and a few other words of wisdom from somebody who's been through it. I think that it is important to know yourself before you go looking for somebody else to share your life with. Anytime I have gone into the dating scene, I ask myself a few questions. 1, do I have the time to commit to a relationship? 2, do I have the energy to commit to a relationship? 3, what are my expectations out of that relationship? Whether that's love, partnership, something fun and casual, it doesn't matter what your expectations are. You just need to know what they are before you're going in so that you can communicate that to your partner. My very first relationship, I was asked out at the end of high school. I had never had a boyfriend, never had a girlfriend, never had any kind of relationship whatsoever. It seemed like the whole world had had a relationship by that point. I was very excited by the idea of a relationship. I was very naive, as inevitably we all are, getting into the idea of dating or having a partner or wanting to be loved. And I think I had the wrong intentions going in, because I was very excited because this is the first person that had shown me any kind of attention. And I was in love with the idea of being in a relationship. I was not in love with the idea of being with this person. So I had very skewed ideas of what it should be, what it shouldn't be, and I didn't have a lot of boundaries or expectations or communication skills to state my needs. And that relationship fell apart after a few weeks. But it taught me a lot of things about what I need, what I don't need, and how to communicate. When you're in a relationship with somebody, you should be able to communicate your ideas to them. Whether you share the same opinion, whether you have very differing opinions, you should be able to communicate that, or communicate your expectations, your wants, your needs, and allow them the same process. When I came out of that relationship, I didn't date again for another 3 years. And that was important for me because I needed to work on myself. I needed to understand who I was. I needed to learn to be an adult. I needed to develop all kinds of skills, both personally and interpersonally, to be able to make a relationship work. I have been on probably more than 50 first and last dates. I am a very selective person. I know what I want out of a partner, and I know what is and is not going to work for me. That was an important turning point, is I wanted to let things happen organically. And I know there's a lot of people out there who feel like nobody loves them, and that's not true. I am a firm believer that you have to create the opportunities that you get in life. So if you're not leaving your house, if you're not going out, if you're not meeting people, you're not going to have opportunities to find a potential mate. So if you are isolated, then it's no one's fault except your own. You need to essentially put yourself out there. Find excuses to go places where you might want to find a relationship. And I am not suggesting going to bars or clubs unless that is your scene. Finding common interests. So whether that's you love art and taking an art class and befriending people in your art class and seeing if there's somebody there that you find attractive. Finding a hobby, finding an interest of yours that is outside your house and seeing if you can meet people organically that way. I have been set up on a lot of dates because people thought I was lonely. Those never really worked out because relationships, I find, are something that you have to know what you want going in. And if somebody else has chosen somebody for you, there's less of a chance of that chemistry or connection happening. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, it's less. I found that using dating apps sometimes was a good way of meeting people. I would always make my expectations and goals very clear. I believe in an equal relationship where one person isn't the sole breadwinner or where one person isn't kind of higher up the food chain than the other. I'm very egalitarian in that sense. I want a partnership, not a hierarchy. I want somebody in my life that I am able to communicate with and have deep conversations with. That's something that I find very attractive because I am a very contemplative person. I need somebody who is very down to earth, who is very calming, because I am a very chaos brain person. I'm very type A, I'm very analytical, but I'm also creative. So I need somebody who can help bring me down at the end of the day and calm me down when I've got too much on the go. I wanted somebody who I could explore the world with. I wanted somebody who enjoyed traveling. I wanted somebody who was willing to try new things. These are all important to me. You have to create your own list of what you need in a potential partner and try and communicate that off the bat. Whether you're using POF or Tinder or whatever, and I know the accessibility sucks on 90% of the dating sites. There's no image descriptions, you have to swipe, you have to do all kinds of different things. So it might not be ideal and you may need some help doing that, but it is worth exploring. Now, when it comes to divulging disability or talking about my disability or expressing that to somebody if we're going to meet up, it happened in a variety of different ways. I tried to bring it up organically. I tried to find ways that I could work it into conversation before we met up because I didn't want to spring that on somebody. But sometimes I wouldn't have that opportunity before we'd meet up and I just bring it up on the date. And I got a variety of reactions, all the way from ghosting and never speaking to me again, to 1,001 questions, to someone being in complete shock, to someone disbelieving my experience. I had the whole range of reactions. And that can be personally challenging. It can be emotionally draining to have to deal with that over and over again. But you have to prepare yourself for those kinds of reactions because they are going to happen. I think everybody is going to have a reaction. You have to be prepared for the eventuality of what that might be. When somebody ghosted me, if somebody rejected me, if somebody had 1,012 questions, or somebody didn't believe me, I immediately let those people go. Those were people that I knew in my heart of hearts were not going to be good matches for me. And I know that when that happens to you 5 or 10 or 15 times, it can feel like nobody loves you or nobody wants to get to know you. And that simply isn't the case. You just have to keep looking. And if you can't find a partner, try and do some self-reflecting. What is the most important to you? What is the goal? What are your expectations? And are they realistic for where you're at in your life? Obviously, if your goals are, I'm 18 and I want to marry somebody who is a billionaire, that's probably unrealistic. So we all need to understand that the people that we are going to be getting into a relationship for or getting into a relationship with are people with strengths and weaknesses and flaws, and we have to be open and honest about what works and what doesn't, and let things develop over time. And the last thing I want to mention is safety. As a young woman, as a person who has a disability, safety for me is paramount. Safety when you're in online dating, safety when you're meeting up with somebody you don't know very well is something that you do need to consider. And it was something that I took very, very seriously. I would always have at least 2 people know where I was, know the name of the person that I was meeting with, and if I had a photo of that person, I would send them that photo before I went on the date. I would also have somebody check in after 1 hour to make sure that things were going well. Creating that security net is important to make sure that you're not going to get into a situation that's dangerous, unsafe, where you're uncomfortable, and it gives you an excuse to get out if you aren't feeling good about the situation that you're in. I would usually have my good friend Emily tracking me on Find My Friends. That's a personal decision. You can do that with a family member or somebody if you want to. It was something that made me feel safer, and she'd be tracking me on both my phone and my Apple Watch. If those two items ended up in different spots, she would be calling me to see what was going on, because that would be more likely that somebody had kidnapped me or tried to take off with me, or something had happened that I was out of control. And I did get into a couple of situations while I was dating where I didn't feel safe, where people made advances that I was very uncomfortable with and didn't take no for an answer. And I had to use those lifelines, and having those there was very important. So figuring out what those are for you, figuring out what works well with your own personal situation, with your friends, with your family, so that they can help keep you safe when you're going out to meet someone is really important. If you have any other questions about dating, be sure to leave them down below. I'm happy to answer as best I can. Again, I am one person with one very narrow idea of what the world is, so if you've had good experiences, bad experiences, if you have your own advice, let me know what that is, because we can all share and learn from each other. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.